Hi, Mr. Guy.
How are you? You have a birthday coming up soon, don't you?
What?
You have a birthday coming up some soon, don't you?
How do you even know that?
What?
How do you even know that?
Somebody's been broadcasting it, and we know that.
What? Who's we?
You,
Wait, no, but who's we know that?
everybody.
What? Who's everybody?
The school.
No, no one's supposed to know. Oh my God, no, nobody
Why?
can know. It's a secret.
May 3rd is a secret?
Yeah, no one's supposed to know that that's my birthday, Mr. Guy.
Yeah, and my son is May 4th. My sister-in-law is May 4th. My son is May 4th. So
Oh my goodness. Wait, but none of the other teachers I invited know, right?
I think you just told Miss Theo.
No, I didn't. I said the only thing I have to look forward to is Sunday because that's ice cream day.
That's your birthday.
I didn't tell anyone that. Nobody knows.
Nobody knows that you're giving out ice cream on your birthday.
Yeah, I said it was for graduation.
It's your birthday.
No, it's not.
I have to ask my wife if I can go get ice cream. What? No, I don't think I've messed up. I'll just tell everybody it's her birthday.
No, don't tell anyone.
I don't know. I think I did. Oh, see the waiting room. There's Oriana's here.
Ariana. Yeah, Mr. Guy, I got you mint chocolate chip ice cream. Vegan.
Nice. Nice.
And I have your gift to give you. I'm so excited.
I don't get gifts.
What?
No, I don't get gifts.
Yes, you do. Why not?
They're against my religion.
They're against your religion? Okay, well, that's too bad.
So am I going to make you crazy today because we're going to do problems and things like that?
Yeah, I'm probably going to cry, but it's okay.
No, you're not going to cry. You cannot cry.
I am. Why is it only showing my thing, but then everyone else is here? Hi, Tiffany. Hi, Kathleen. Hi, Mariana. Hi, Casey.
What do you mean?
Hi,
I can't
everyone.
even see you.
I know. I turned off my screen because I look like a tomato with eyes.
A tomato. Let's see that.
No.
Yes.
No.
How you doing, Casey?
Good. How are you?
Good. Tiffany, you doing well?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. How are you
Okay.
doing?
Pretty good. I'm going to make my video for you guys.
What video?
You guys have given me 2 videos on how you're doing and what you're
Oh,
doing. So I'll do
yes.
one.
Yeah, you have to play hot cross buns in it, though.
Oh, no.
Yes. Wait, before this starts, can you just play it for us real quick?
I don't know how to play hot cross buns.
Yes,
you do.
No, Mary
Don't
had
lie.
It was Mary Had a Little Lamb, but it wasn't hot cross buns.
Well, they're close enough. Can you play Mary Had a Little Lamb?
They're not. I don't know how to play it.
Yes, you do.
I just lost.
What? You're so full of it.
Oh, here it is. What is it?
Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Yes.
So beautiful.
Look at you go.
Yes. Oh, freeze. Oh. Whoa, that's beautiful.
Am I the only one that can't hear this?
Can you hear it now, Casey?
I hear like one note.
I think it sounds amazing. Whoa. That was fantastic.
Yay.
Here's your Grammy.
My Grammy?
Yes.
Very good.
I can't really hear you now.
Can't?
No. Well, now I
Why?
can. I don't know. Maybe I'm going deaf.
You could be.
That's very true.
Okay, that's up. That sound is up.
Okay, now we can hear you.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe I'm hearing voices in my head.
Maybe you're hearing voices in your head.
Maybe I'm going crazy. You never
This
know.
quarantine's really gotten you, Lauren.
True. Iffy calls in the 2020 NFL Draft.
Wow.
Mr. Guy, what do you have to say about that?
I don't know.
Hmm.
Everybody see the screen?
Yes.
Beautiful. All right. So what we're going to do, we're not going to kind of like draw graphs and stuff like that, but it's the idea of getting the concepts and getting what's happening with each scenario. And let me go back. I don't know what this is. Maybe I'll get this out of the way. And get this out of the way. And go back here. Go back here. And here. So I'm going to ask just like one at a time. For this one, you're not going to draw it, but is it supply or demand? Is it, what is the shifter? Is it going to go to increase or decrease, and what's going to happen to the price? So we're going to look at those. So the price of sushi, it's a substitute, increases. So what will happen for hamburgers? So is this supply or demand?
Demand.
It is demand. What is the shifter?
Doesn't the demand increase for hamburgers?
It does. What's the shifter? What's the name of it?
I don't remember that.
Preferences. I don't know.
This one is price of related goods because it's a substitute or complement. So hamburgers, the demand will increase. And then what happens to price and quantity?
Doesn't the quantity go up and the price go down?
Quantity goes up is correct. What happens to the price if demand shifts to the right?
Price goes up too.
Price also goes up.
Correct. So price and quantity go up. Now, number 2, new grilling technology cuts production in half. Is that supply or demand?
Supply.
Okay. It's supply. So is that, what is the shifter?
Resources needed to make the good or whatever.
In this one, it's actually just technology.
Oh, okay.
There is one for technology. So that's it. So what happens to supply?
Supply increases.
And shifts which way, right or left?
Right.
Right.
So what happens to price and quantity?
Price goes down, quantity goes up.
Correct. Have we lost anybody, Lauren?
No, I just don't want to talk.
That's fine. Do we understand?
Yes.
Price of burgers goes from $3 to $1.
Demand.
Is this supply or demand?
Demand.
Demand.
Is it a shifter?
Mm,
Oh no, it just goes along the line.
That is correct.
yeah.
This is not a shifter. Now you could actually say it affects both because supply will move up, demand will move down. So it's like it goes in two directions, but it's
Won't it either go into like a deficit or a surplus?
in this case, the price falls, so you're going to have a shortage.
Okay.
Okay. So there's no shifter on this. You're just moving along the line. Price for ground beef triples. Supply or demand?
Supply.
Why?
It is supply. What is the shifter type name?
It's like cost for resources to produce
Yep.
the good.
Yeah.
Price of resources, correct. And then what happens to supply?
It
It decreases.
decreases
It decreases. Which way does it shift?
to the
Left.
left.
It shifts to the left. What happens to price?
Price increases.
What happens to quantity?
Decreases.
Decreases.
Okay. Lauren, you good?
Yeah.
Tiffany, you good?
Yeah.
Okay. Human fingers found in multiple McDonald's burgers restaurants.
That would never happen, Mr. Guy. That would be Burger King.
No, it happened in McDonald's. So
No.
now,
No, you're attacking me, Mr. Guy. I'm gonna send Ronald after you.
is this supply or demand?
Demand,
It is demand. What is the shifter?
tastes, and preferences.
Perfect. That is correct. So it's taste and preferences. What will happen to demand?
It will decrease. 'Cause no one
Shift
wants
which way?
Fingers in their burgers.
Shift which way, right or left?
Left.
Left.
Okay, what happens to price?
It'll decrease.
Price decreases, quantity
Decreases.
correct. Now, there's 10 McDonald's companies in the same little area. There's hundreds of McDonald's companies are entering the market. Is that supply? That is supply. And what is the shifter?
Number of sellers.
Number of sellers or competition, good. What happens to the supply curve?
Shifts to the right.
Shifts to the right. What happens to the price and quantity?
Price goes down, quantity goes up.
Increasing.
Yep, price goes down, quantity goes up. So now let's see, income in the United States currently right now is decreasing. So is that supply or demand?
It's demand.
It is demand. So what is the shifter?
Income.
That is correct. What happens to the demand curve? Does it increase, decrease, shift to the right or left?
It decreases.
Decreases.
Shifts to the left.
Shift to the left. What happens to price and quantity?
Price goes down, quantity goes down.
Correct. Okay. The ones we didn't do are the expectations. So like if we expect, say, prices to fall in the next month, we would then make decisions today, based on that. We'd probably wait until the price goes down, then we'll buy it then. So those kind of things. Anybody have any questions on these? Because you're not gonna have to draw the graph, but there might be questions about what happens to price and quantity. And those things are really what we're looking at. Now, the next 3 are double shifters.
Amazing.
Okay. So actually 8 is not a double shifter. 8 is just a single one. US government cuts taxes and regulations.
So
Supplier.
who is it cutting taxes for?
Isn't it just supply because it's government?
Yeah.
I will take Lauren's answer. Casey,
But
you are going to assume
But if
cutting taxes and regulations is a supply.
Oh, okay.
You are going to assume that. The only time that it would be wrong is I say US government cuts personal income taxes.
Then it would be demand, right?
That would be demand.
Okay.
But when we're looking at taxes and I put taxes and regulations together, it is supply.
Okay.
So what happens to the supply curve?
It shifts to the right.
And what happens to price and quantity?
Price goes down, quantity
Quantity
goes
goes
up.
up.
Okay. So in these two, you're going in order. Now, the rule is when you shift 2 things at one time, one thing you know, the other thing you don't know. So in all these others, we knew price went down, quantity went up, price went up, quantity went down. In this one will be indeterminate, we can't tell. And the other one, without a fact, what's going to happen. So the first one is income increases, technology for hamburger production increases. So what happens?
Both supply and demand increase. And
Both
shift to the
supply
right.
and demand increase. They both shift to the right. Do we know what happens to price?
Price
No.
stays the same, doesn't it?
Price is undeterminate.
Price is indeterminate. We're not sure. We know quantity increased for
Yeah.
sure. Okay. Now, hamburger bun prices decrease, grants for businesses decrease. What happens? What is hamburger buns?
Supply.
What is hamburger buns?
Complementary goods.
It's a complementary good. Absolutely. So that's a demand. The price decreases. So what happens for demand for hamburgers?
They increase.
That is correct. So your demand is increasing. What happens for grants for businesses? What's that doing?
Supply, it shifts to the left.
So demand is increasing, going to the right.
Right.
Supply is shifting to the left. So what do we not know?
Quantity.
We don't know quantity.
Right. What do we know about price?
It increases.
It increases. Number one, demand is making it go up, and then supply is also making it go up. Questions on these? Was that a good reminder?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we need to do more maybe on the next review, or are we good?
I'm personally good with it, but I can't speak for other people.
Yeah, no, I think this is fine.
I have a question real quick.
Sure.
So when it says like analyze hamburgers or whatever, does that mean restaurants and like personal buying?
It says analyze the market for hamburgers,
Okay.
and that can be supply and demand. Top is supply and demand analysis. So we're doing both at the same time.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
All right. So there's quite a few questions on comparative advantage, absolute advantage. I know unit 6 is not done, and that's appreciation, depreciation, and that kind of stuff. But this can be on the test. And this is basically where you're trying to figure out who's got the absolute advantage, comparative advantage, and basically what happens. So here is my example. Country A makes 10 products of product A, 8 products of product B. Country B makes 21 products of A and 7 of B. And then I had the rules the other day, output. This is an output question because they're making so many per month, per year, per time. And typically they're gonna be output questions. 9 times out of 10, it's an output question. If it's an input question, remember it is how fast can you make one, or what resources do you need to make one? And it's only one unit or one thing. So output, other goes over. So I took the 8 and put it over the 10. So that's 8/10, and then I made it down to 4/5. And so the opportunity cost of A is 4/5 of B. And then it's always the reciprocal. So if it's 4/5 of B, then it's 5/4 of A in that part there. And then I did the same thing with product B, 7/21, that's 1/3. And then reciprocal of that is 3. Does anybody have any questions on how I got A and B, the opportunity cost? Okay. Who's got the absolute advantage in the product A? Which country?
Isn't it country B?
That is correct. Who's got the advantage in comparative advantage in product B?
Country A.
Correct. Okay. Now, which country has the comparative advantage in A?
Country B,
Why?
because it has the smaller whatchamacallit? I can't think of the word.
Smaller, lower opportunity cost. 1/3
Yeah.
is less than 4/5. Okay. And then always, if country A has got the opportunity, or country B has got the opportunity cost, then the next one has to be the other country. So remember, one country can have 2 absolute advantages, but they can't have 2 comparative advantages. So then you look, 5/4 is less than 3. So country A has got the advantage in that product. Now, who should export product A? Who should export product A?
Country B?
That is correct.
Okay.
You export what you have the comparative advantage in.
Okay.
Okay. What is the price range that would make a good trade for product B?
I completely forgot how to do this part.
You see product B?
Yeah.
So what's the price range?
It's between 3 and 5/4.
That is correct. So in this case, you probably do a price at 2 because it's easy.
Yeah.
Here, harder because I would probably pick this one because it's easier, but if this is 2, this is probably going to be 1/2.
So to find like the price range is just the difference in the comparative advantages?
It's not the difference.
Not the
it's
difference, but like
something, any number in between those two. Now, if it is exactly one of these numbers, it'll be a good trade for one country. It'll be an even trade for the other country.
okay. Thank you.
That's basically how we look at it. Now, when I looked at the non-graph questions, there was quite a few of them. So here's an AP question. Table gives you the production alternatives of 2 nations that are producing cloth and food using equal amount of resources. Calculate the opportunity cost of producing a unit of cloth in Newland. So 1 cloth in Newland equals how much food?
One-fifth.
1/5.
That's correct. Okay. What is the opportunity cost of producing a unit food in B land?
10 to
10?
1. It's 10, right?
1/10. Correct. Who has
Wait,
got?
why would it be 1/10? I thought it was over or other over like same.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're producing a unit of food. It would be 10. So the 10 goes over the 1. So which has comparative advantage in cloth?
B land? No.
Newland.
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's 5 instead of 10. No, I'm dumb. It's it's B-land.
Right?
Yeah, 1/10 is less than 1/5.
And then for Newland, they have the comparative advantage in food.
Correct. 5 is less than 10. Okay. Anybody have any problems so far? Lauren?
No, I get it. I'm just listening.
Okay. Now, Beeland, their workers' output triples. So it goes to 30 units of cloth and 3 units of food. Who has got the comparative advantage in food production?
Still stays the same, doesn't it?
So what's your answer?
Wait, so comparative advantage in food production?
Mm-hmm.
It would be Newland still.
Newland, yeah.
And why do you say it's the same?
Because it's both units are tripling, so the ratio is still the same. It's still 1/10 and 10 to 1.
That is correct. So nothing that's changed. It's just they both tripled and the ratios are still the same.
Mr. Guy,
Yes. Yes. Was there a question? Okay. All right. Country X and Y are trading partners. Both produce furnaces and solar panels. The countries produce the amounts using equal amount of resources. Country X, 6 furnaces, 8 solar panels. Country Y, 6 furnaces or 12 solar panels. Which country has the absolute advantage in solar panels? Lauren?
Oh no, don't put me on the spot, Mr. Guy.
Absolute advantage in solar panels.
Country Y.
Thank you.
Go, Lauren!
There you go, Lauren.
Yay, me.
Yay!
Calculate the opportunity cost of a furnace in country Y. So country Y furnaces, 1 furnace equals what? How many solar panels?
2.
2.
So 1 furnace equals 2 solar panels. Which country has the comparative advantage in producing furnaces?
Country X.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the 1 furnace equals what?
1 furnace equals what? 1.3. No,
Okay,
one.
and then-
It's like 1 1/3.
And then the other
solar
one
panels.
is 1 versus 2. So you take the lower number, correct. So I just want to make sure we got it. Country X is correct. If the terms of trade were 2 furnaces exchanged for 1 solar panel, should country X produce solar panels or import solar panels from country Y? So does it even matter what the terms of trade are?
Oh, you're just looking at comparative advantage, right?
You're looking at, should country X, what should they
Produce solar
do?
panels, yeah.
Who's got the comparative advantage in solar panels? And you can do it in furnaces. Who do we say country X has got? Country X has got the comparative advantage in furnaces, so country Y would have the comparative advantage in solar panels.
Yeah. So country X should import solar panels.
Yes.
Okay.
Does everybody get that one?
Yes.
Yes.
And you're really looking at that. Now, let's look at, is it a good trade for both countries? Just for an example, 1 solar panel for 2 furnaces. Is it a decent trade?
No.
Is it a bad trade where both lose?
It's not a bad trade, but only
Correct.
one wins.
Only one
Because-
wins and the other is
Yeah.
even, so it's fine. That's okay.
Okay.
All right. Now, Laura, who's not here, pissed me off, wanted to go over producer surplus and consumer surplus. But I also wanted to look at just the basic idea. You're not going to have to draw these, but here is the area of the producer surplus. Everybody can see that?
Yeah.
And then consumer surplus is everything there. So it's going between 5, 3, the equilibrium going here. So basically, I'm just going to show you and just get the basic ideas on this. So the idea of an excise tax, there's 2 different questions that we ask. Is it better to tax the buyer and seller or seller? Is there one that's better advantage? And then the second question is, who pays most of the tax? Now, the first thing that you have to realize and always realize, if we do in this case, a $2 tax, the price does not go up $2. So just realize that when we do a tax, price doesn't automatically shoot up $2 and that's it. And you can see it based on this curve. In this case, we did a $2 tax from 3 to 5, and the price, instead of going up to 5, actually only went to 4. Does everybody see that? Even though we did that tax, we drew the supply curve right here. This is how high the price went. It went to 4. It never goes up to the highest amount. Now, the difference between these 2 lines, this 4 and 2, this is what the buyers pay, this is what the sellers receive, and then this is the tax. So I ask you, who pays most of the tax? And this one, it's equal. The buyers pay $1 because they were paying 3, now they're paying 4, they pay $1 extra. Sellers were getting 3, now they're only getting 2, they pay $1 worth of the tax. So it's equal in this case. Now, what do taxes do? So the whole main point that I look at who pays the tax. Does it matter? Well, taxes raise prices and they cut down the quantity. So there's less quantity. And then this entire area is our deadweight loss, which is loss from efficiency, loss of consumer surplus and producer surplus from the tax. Does everybody understand that?
Yeah.
Anybody want me to go over anything? Lauren, Tiffany?
No, I think I got it.
So just the basic concepts, okay? Just the basic ideas, okay? So, and of course my thing doesn't work. So here is what I put for you guys. Here's an excise tax. The price the buyers pay is $4. The price the seller pays is $2. the quantity went down from like 100 to 80. The tax revenue is 2 times 80, so that's $160 that they get. How much tax does the buyers pay? That's $1. How much tax does the seller pay? That's $1. Who pays most of the tax? In this case, it's equal. Does it matter if we tax buyer or seller? The answer always is no. What happens to consumer surplus and producer surplus? It's reduced. By this amount is the loss of producer surplus. This is the amount of loss of consumer surplus. What happens to price and quantity? Price goes up, quantity goes down. So the main concepts of a tax, it lowers quantity, raises prices, taxes are split between the buyer and seller. Now, what determines who pays the most of the tax? Okay. If I told you we were going to tax gasoline, who do you think would pay more of the tax, buyers or sellers?
Buyers.
Why?
Because the seller controls the price point, so wouldn't they just increase the price to like merge with the tax or better fit with the tax?
No. Anybody else? Who can get out of the transaction easiest?
Buyer.
The buyer is stuck in the transaction. Okay, can we substitute gas for any other fuel?
No.
No, we cannot. Like in this one, excise taxes are typically on alcohol and cigarettes. Would the buyer substitute alcohol? No. Would they substitute anything with cigarettes? No. So these taxes that the buyer has to pay are ones that are steeper. They're called inelastic, and the buyer actually, they're necessities for the buyer. Now, the seller can actually pay a tax also if they are more steep, if they're more inelastic, and it's a steeper supply curve where they can't get a. Now, if I look at a car, okay, an automobile is a luxury good for the consumer, does not have to have it. If I can spend $20,000, $30,000 millions of different ways. I can buy other stuff. I don't have to buy a car. And then the car company, it's very inelastic. It's very steep. So if you're looking at, let's tax a car $2,000, because obviously it's not going to be a $2 tax. It won't be a $1.50 tax. It'll be a large tax. It's $2,000. The buyers are not going to pay that tax. They'll walk away and they'll say, screw you, I'm not going to pay it. And then who pays most of it will be the seller. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So in this problem, I don't even necessarily want you to draw it, even though you could. And I even put it up there, but you don't even need to. I'm telling you the answer. Draw the supply and demand curve for gasoline. The equilibrium is $4, quantity is 100. Make the graph steeper for demand than supply. So the graph would be steep for demand, flat for supply, or flatter. So it's like with gasoline, there's $1 tax to be paid by the buyer. So the demand would shift. Now, what is the new price? The price must be somewhere between 4 and 5, but it will not ever be $5. So give me a number that's realistic. What do you think the price for gas would be? I'm going to say $4.75. Is that a good number?
Sure.
Yeah.
It's less than 5. It's showing steeper. It almost went to the top. If you said $4.80, that's fine. But I'm saying $4.75. Okay? So what is the cost that the seller will get? Without looking at a graph, the tax is how much? $1. So if the new price of gas is $4.75, what is the price seller gets?
$375.
That is correct. So it's $375. So in this case, how much tax did the buyers pay?
0.
Nope.
$1?
Nope.
The buyer paid 75 cents of the tax.
Oh,
The
yeah.
buyer paid 75 cents, and what did the seller pay?
25 cents.
25 cents. And remember, it equals $1, so they have to be equal. Now, it depends on how you draw it and how you think of it. If I said, okay, the price paid is, $4.80, the buyer pays 80 cents, the seller pays 20 cents. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What are the tax revenues? Well, I basically, in this case, it's the tax times the quantity. Typically, I've been using 100 for the middle and then 80 going lower. So 80 times $1 is $80. And then taxes reduce efficiency. Their consumer surplus and producer surplus is gone. So there's deadweight loss in that little triangle area. Taxes cause higher prices, lower quantity. Who pays depends on the steeper graph. Buyers pay more in this case than the sellers. And it doesn't matter who you tax. If you tax the sellers or buyers, it's the same answer. How do we feel about this? Tiffany, I haven't heard from you. Lauren, what do you think?
So good.
I mean, because I'm not making you draw anything, and just logically, you should be able to say, dollar tax, the price is going to go up from 4 to 5, but it won't be total 5. It never has that. It's going to be a little bit less. You should be able to determine that. Anybody?
How do we determine consumer and supplier surplus? Or like buyer and seller surplus?
This is the consumer surplus to begin. And in this case, this is the new consumer surplus. Then you have down, you know what I'm saying? So then you're going to have this is going to be the new producer surplus.
Okay.
This is the tax area. This is the tax revenue. Okay, that's gone. And then this is the loss of consumer surplus, loss of producers. This is the deadweight loss area.
Okay, so the like middle tax area there doesn't go into one particular surplus, like it doesn't go towards the consumer surplus.
Well, remember, I'm paying $4.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So this area is gone. This tax revenue is gone to the government. So this is my surplus is this area. They're not getting 3 anymore. They're getting 2. So this is the producer surplus.
Okay, so taxes, if a tax increases, then the surplus of each decreases?
Correct.
Okay.
Now, in this case, it's equal. And the one that I did just now with the gasoline, this is going to be a larger area than this one. Because this one, remember, was only 25 cents. This was 75 cents. So this is going to be a bigger area.
Okay, gotcha.
And then in general, this is a good tax, okay? And the reason why it's a good tax is this area of government revenue is larger than the loss. Now, there could be a case where the tax revenue goes like right here and the deadweight loss is over here. That would be a bad tax. And basically what it means is people aren't paying the tax. They're actually shifting out. It's like if we taxed something at market day, and something at market day, it's elastic, it's very flat for demand, and it's very flat for supply. So say we tax t-shirts and do a $5 tax on t-shirts, we would have no tax revenues because nobody would buy and sell t-shirts. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, they would buy something, they'll buy hats, they'll buy whatever else. You got your $20, you're not going to buy that, and it's going to reduce them quite a bit. Now, you might have some people still buy something in this area, but this area of tax revenue is going to be much smaller than that area. Okay? Do we need to do another one? Are we good? Or what do you guys think? Because realize we're not drawing any graphs, but we have to explain what's going on. Okay. So again, Laura, who's not here, and I'm going to keep saying that the entire time. Producer surplus, consumer surplus. Abby, welcome. Sorry you didn't get my memo. We started at 1:30, but this will be recorded. And same for you, Hui. Consumer surplus, Abby, what is the area with no trade? What are the letters with no trade? Consumer surplus.
I don't know.
Hui, help her out. Either go ahead, Abby, go ahead.
Is it H?
That is correct.
Okay.
Hui, what is producer surplus with no trade?
Is it why?
We're looking at demand and supply, domestic supply and demand. So she said consumer surplus with no trade is H, which is correct. Now, what is producer surplus? It's below P1.
Yeah, so it's
It's on the supply curve. So what would it be?
Is it I,
Yeah, and keep going.
L,
Yes, keep going.
and T?
And T, correct. So that is the United States domestic supply market. Okay, and say it's oil or whatever you want to do. It's any product. So H and then I, L, and T. And they're basically equal in this case, and that's fine. Now we have the world price at W, PW. So the world price is right here, crosses the demand line here, it crosses the supply here. So somebody tell me, what is consumer surplus with all the letters at the world price? Consumer surplus. Give me everyone.
Is it H,
T.
I, and L?
Wait,
And keep
consumer
going.
surplus. Oh,
More? Oh no.
it'd be J, K, M, N,
And
R, and
R.
S. It's anything
is-
above the world price.
Correct.
Right.
So it is H, I, J, K, L, M, N, R, S. Okay? It is this entire area is the consumer surplus. Okay? What is producer surplus at the world price?
TUBWXY.
It is just
T.
T.
That's T?
Just T. That is our producer surplus. Now, what is the V, the W, the X, and the Y in that area? What is this area here?
Would that be the deadweight loss?
Nope. This is how much we're producing. This is how much we're buying. What is this area?
That's the, like, deficit.
It's called our imports.
Oh.
That's the amount we import at this price. We import Q5 minus Q what we import, all of this. Because our producers are just got screwed. This is why Donald Trump and Bernie don't like the situation, because with free trade, consumers love it, and we do love free trade, and then the producers get screwed, and that's where we hear Buy American and all this, because this T is tiny. And then we are importing all of this. So in this, are you going to draw it? No. But what do you need to know? With world trade like this, consumers really benefit, producers really get hurt, and we have to import a lot. Now, what I asked yesterday, and Hui was right, what happens if we have a tariff? What happens with tariffs? What does that do? Well, it raises the price. So here is what now, this is the producer surplus. It's now bigger, T and L. And then the consumer surplus is this area, H, I, J, K. So this is the consumer surplus. This is the producer surplus. Notice the difference. Now we're importing less. We're going between Q4 and Q2. We're importing less. So tariffs raise prices, lower imports, which they do, helps our it helps our companies a little bit. And who does it hurt? It hurts consumers. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Lauren?
Yes.
Lauren?
Yeah, I'm good.
You're good?
Yeah.
Didn't ask you to draw it, didn't ask you to do anything, but just theoretically, do we understand it, Tiffany?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm done. So those are the problems. Were there anything else that you guys wanted to talk about? Tomorrow we'll be at 2 to 3, and we'll be going over this area, going over circular flow again. I'll probably cut that out, but GDP, real versus nominal, inflation and unemployment. So that's what we're going to cover tomorrow. Does anybody have any questions on any of the stuff that we did? Do we need to go over the analyze hamburgers again? Do we need to go over comparative advantage again? What do you guys think? Casey, Lauren, Oriana, what do you think?
I think we're good.
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
good.
I'm good.
If you, Mr. Guy, if you could, I missed it. Could you run through comparative advantage one more time, just quickly?
Comparative advantage, this is the problem that I did with the answer. Remember, absolute advantage is you make more of a product or you make it with less resources. So in the absolute advantage, you're looking at who has the larger number for an output question, who's got the smaller number for an input question. This is an output question. So B has the absolute advantage in this product. Country A has the absolute advantage in this. Now, I always do the chart right next to each other, and I put these in. Country A, the opportunity cost of product A is 4/5 of B, and then 5/4 of A. So these are always reciprocal. 4/5 product B, 5/4 product A. This is 1/3 of B. This is 3A. You can never have a comparative advantage in two products. It has to be one country with one, the other has the other. So which is the lower number? This is the lower number here. So country B has the comparative advantage in product A. And then this is the lower number here. So country A has got the comparative advantage in product B. You export what you have the comparative advantage in. You import what you do not have the comparative advantage in. And then the price range is either between this 4/5 B and 1/3 B, or between this. Now I choose this one because it's easier because I can find a whole number. It would be 2. So my good trade that I would do is between this number and this, and it would be like 2. Makes sense, it's there. If you wanted to do this one, it would probably be like a half. So you do the comparative advantage is who's got the lowest opportunity cost in terms of the other product. So this is on the slideshow. So I have, added this to the same slideshow so you can look at it. These are 2 examples that we did, that we went through and answered the questions on it. But remember, absolute, more of it. Comparative advantage is lower opportunity cost in terms of the other product. Remember, output, other goes over, so it's 8/10 and then 10/8. It's 7/21. It's 21/7. Did that help?
Yeah, that did.
Abby, any questions? Hui, any questions?
No.
I'm probably going to watch the video again,
Okay,
like the beginning part, but no,
Okay.
right now.
that's fine. And then I do have this slide there if anybody needs any of this, or, I'm going to keep adding to these. And I'm sorry about today with being, I put an announcement and sent this for 1:30 instead of 2:30 because I've got a school meeting from 2:30 to 4:30. I'm actually in Zoom meetings from 8 o'clock this morning to 4:30 in the afternoon. So don't I love it?
That's crazy.
It is. I had a half an hour for lunch today, but the rest of the time I've been either on Teams or Zoom since 8 this morning. So
I'm sorry.
hey, I'm doing stuff with you guys and whatever. So let's just look at this briefly. Abby and was Ben, you came in late? Is that you?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me what is the opportunity cost of producing cloth in Newland? So one cloth equals
Is it a fifth?
a fifth of food. Okay. And then calculate the opportunity cost of one food in Breland. So what would that be? One food equals 10. Okay. So then you look who's got the comparative advantage in cloth, who's got the comparative advantage in food. So you're looking at 1/5 and 1/10. You're looking at 5 and then 10. So what is your comparative advantage in cloth?
Breland has a comparative advantage for food, right?
In cloth, who's got the lower number? It's 1/5 food for Newland, 1/10 food for Beeland.
Breland, right?
Beeland has got the comparative advantage for cloth. And then for food, what's the answer? This is Newland because 5 is less than 10.
Yeah.
Okay. Now this is an interesting question. They say they tripled their output for Beeland in all of their production. So this goes to 30 and this goes to 3. Does anything change?
No. Only the absolute advantage.
Right. But the comparative advantage, nothing changes, correct?
Yeah.
So it's the same ratio, the same information. It's still, the ratios are still the same.
Okay.
Okay. And just look at this. We do number 4 and Abby do number 3 and Ben do number 5. So Abby 3, we 4, Ben 5.
So
You're not drawing anything. So what happens if the price of burgers falls from 3 to 1? What happens?
the supply decreases and the
I'm
demand
glad.
increases.
You're doing 4.
Oh,
Abby, what are you doing? What's going on? Is anything shifting?
Is it demand that falls or supply?
I'm asking, is anything changing?
Oh. I don't know. Does supply go down?
Casey Teller.
Wait, which problem were we on? I'm sorry.
Number 3, the price of burgers.
Oh, price of burgers falls. That is a shift along the line. It's not a shifter of supplier demand.
It's a movement along the line. Don't use shifter along the line. It's a movement
Sorry,
along the
my
line.
bad.
Either one shifts.
I didn't mean it.
The price does change. It goes from 3 to 1. So there's going to be a big demand increase. Like it's going to go, quantity demanded goes up, but quantity supplied goes down. So we have that. That's just a movement along the line.
Okay.
Number 4, price of ground beef triples. Is that supply or demand?
Demand.
Why'd you switch?
Because if they were selling too low, they were going to lose supply.
Is it supply or demand?
Demand.
Why?
Because if they were selling it for too low.
Didn't say that. Price of ground beef triples. So I think Lauren makes burgers at McDonald's. If the price of ground beef goes up, what happens to the Big Mac and the cheeseburger and everything else?
The supply goes down.
Correct. So what's going to happen is this is resource prices. The supply will decrease and shift to the left. Okay. And what happens to price? Price will increase, quantity will decrease. Ben, what happens if, and this happened in McDonald's. We know that it did. It happened.
It was
last
Burger
year.
King, Mr. Guy. It was not.
No, I saw the article.
No.
It was McDonald's.
Oh,
Burger King.
Rip Lauren.
No, that was definitely Burger King. That would never
So
happen.
what happened then with supplier demand?
Demand decreased.
And so what is this shifter called?
Shoot, I don't know the exact name for the shifter. Probably
Consumer tastes and preferences.
okay, consumer taste and preferences, and it shifted to the left down.
And what happens to price and quantity?
Both. It would be both price and quantity decrease.
That is correct. Okay, so this is kind of like what we started off with. We went to here, and then we looked at taxes and who pays the tax, and then we went to there. Any other concepts that you think we need to go over in this unit, whether it is supply, demand, whether it's production possibilities curve, whether it's opportunity cost, trade-offs, anything in this unit here? Because this is what this unit goes over: scarcity, choice, opportunity cost, trade-offs, production possibilities curve, comparative advantage, absolute advantage, supply, demand, market equilibrium. And I didn't really go over price floors and price ceilings, but we could, depending on what you want to do. Anybody need any review on these concepts?
Could we possibly go over price floors and ceilings tomorrow? Maybe just take a quick peek at them.
Why tomorrow?
Because Miss Duclos' meeting starts in 4 minutes. So
Yeah, so
Yeah.
does mine. So what?
true.
So
Okay.
right there. If I put a price, in this case, a floor at $8, remember, a floor is always above equilibrium. If I put a price floor where the price cannot go below 8, you will have a surplus of items. The seller will want to do this amount. The buyer wants to do this amount. This is a surplus. And that's a price floor. Typically, the price floor is in like minimum wage, or it might be in rent control. Actually, not rent control, it would be agriculture. We did it in farming. Now, the other example here is this is $2. So it can't go higher than $2. A price ceiling is below market equilibrium, cannot go higher than 2 by government law, and it creates a shortage. This is how many people want. This is probably 200,000. This is how many suppliers will give. This area is the shortage. And then again, you're losing all that in the middle. So a price ceiling, price floor, reduce consumer surplus, producer surplus, causes prices to be too high or too low, changes quantities for sure. They cause inefficiencies in the market. Is that enough, or do you think you need more? And I'll be happy to do more, Ben.
I get it.
I think I'm all good.
I mean, it really, this is one of the easier concepts. It causes a shortage or surplus. The hard thing to remember is ceiling is below equilibrium. The floor is above equilibrium. And, you know, that's kind of like what confuses people, because you can actually have a floor and a ceiling that are non-binding because they're in the wrong spot. You could have a floor that's down here at 2, and it basically is useless because equilibrium's at 5, at 2, there's no reason. So it's like there are those non-binding floors and ceilings. Okay, so, and trust me, anything you are going to ask. So tomorrow I'm going to be going over GDP, unemployment, inflation. And then the next day we'll go over questions and problems. But please ask. If you want me to go over something, just say it and do it, and we'll do it at that time. Tomorrow will be 2 to 3, and I'm sorry about today. I have a meeting too, so are we all good?
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah.
Mr. Guy.
Thank you, Mr. Guy.
Thank you.
Mr. Guy.
Bye.
Now,
Bye.
everybody got you can get the recordings, or do you want me to post the recording?
How
What?
do you get them?
I get the recordings. Everything's recorded. If you want me to post it, I'll post it.
Yeah, I mean, it would be great if you could post it. I think, yeah.
All right. All right, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Hey, Mr. Guy.
Bye, Mr. Guy.
Bye-bye.
Mr.